The Robinson family was excited about their move to the countryside. After years in the city, they craved the tranquility and space that their new house promised. The old mansion, though weathered and somewhat dilapidated, had a charm that drew them in. As they settled into their new home, the first few days were uneventful, filled with unpacking and organizing. On their first night, strange things began to happen. It started with soft whispers echoing through the hallways. Thomas, the father, brushed it off as the wind. But then Martha, the mother, noticed cold spots in certain areas of the house. The children, Emily and Jack, were the first to see the shadows that seemed to move on their own. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, the lights flickered and then went out completely. Thomas fumbled for a flashlight. By the dim light, they made their way to the circuit box, only to find it in perfect condition. The lights eventually came back, but an eerie feeling lingered. That night, Emily woke up to the sound of someone crying. She followed the noise to the attic. When she opened the door, a cold breeze rushed past her, and the crying stopped. She told her parents, but they assured her it must have been a bad dream. The following night, Jack heard footsteps outside his room. He thought it was Emily or his parents, but the footsteps sounded heavier. Gathering courage, he peeked through a crack in the door to see a shadowy figure standing at the end of the hallway. The next morning, Jack was adamant about what he saw, but Thomas insisted there was nothing there. With each passing day, the events grew more intense. Doors slammed shut on their own, objects were mysteriously misplaced, and the whispers turned into incoherent murmurs that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Martha started to do some research on the house's history and discovered it had been abandoned for years after a series of unexplained deaths. The family decided to leave, but on their final night, the house seemed to come alive. The walls groaned, the windows rattled, and a cacophony of voices filled the air. As they rushed to pack their belongings, the entire house shook, as if trying to trap them inside. They barely managed to escape, leaving behind most of their possessions. The Robinsons never spoke about their experience again. The old mansion returned to its eerie silence, waiting for its next inhabitants.